Today we are going to start class 10 History chapter 1 The Rise of Nationalism in Europe part 1. In this video we will cover introduction, meaning of nationalism and nation states, features of the painting of Frederick Soriot, French Revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte. In that topic we will discuss about his Napoleonic Code which was introduced in 1804, the making of nationalism in Europe. Under this topic, we will discuss about the aristocracy and the new middle class and liberal nationalism. Students, there was emergence of a new idea during 19th century in Europe. Nationalism emerged as a social force which brought about sweeping changes in the political and mental world of Europe. The end result of these changes was the emergence of the nation state in place of the multinational dynastic empires of Europe. A multinational state is a sovereign state that comprises two or more nations. This is in contrast to a nation state. A multinational state might also be multicultural or multilingual. The concept and practices of a modern state in which centralized power exercised sovereign control over a clearly defined territory had been developing over a long period of time in Europe, but a nation state was one in which majority of its citizens and not only its rulers came to develop a sense of common identity and shared history or descents. This commonness did not exist from the time immemorial. It was forged through struggles, though the actions of leaders and the common people. Students, the idea of nationalism was not emerged at once. It was having its history behind it, as in our surrounding many materialistic and non-materialistic things are there. As materialistic things are having their history, same as non-materialistic things, those are our ideas, is also having its history behind it. As we have seen in class 9th, the idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity, how it emerged, what were the reasons behind that, it was having a history behind it. In this class, we will discuss about nationalism. We'll come to know that from where this idea came, what was the need of this idea, who were the people they supported to this idea, why the people they started thinking about nationalism. All these things we will discuss in this chapter. Here we will also look at the diverse processes through which the nation state and nationalism came into being in 19th century Europe. Nationalism and nation states. As already we discussed that nationalism is loyalty to a nation rather than a king or empire. Nation state, in that people they wanted independent government, they wanted uniform laws and many other things, those they wanted common for everyone. Liberals and radicals support nationalism. Nationalism was a new idea which was a social force which can create one nation from many separate countries like Italy, Germany, but it can also break one nation into many like Austria-Hungary and Turkey. It was also helpful in state building. One painting is very important here in this chapter that changed the idea of the world. That was a painting of Frederick Soriot, which was a French artist. He made the series of painting in 1848. In that, he visualized the dream of a world made up of democratic and social republic. In this painting, he had shown that peoples of Europe and America, men and women of all ages and social classes, marching in a long train and offering homage to the Statue of Liberty as they pass by it. As you will recall, artists of the time of the French Revolution personified liberty as a female figure. Here we can recognize the torch of enlightenment she bears in one hand and the charter of the rights of man in the other. On the earth, in the foreground of the image, lie the shattered remains of the symbols of absolute institution. That shows that people, they wanted to get rid from the old form of government. They wanted equality, liberty for them. That's why they wanted to leave all these things. The countries, those already became nation states, were leading the procession. Those countries were United States, Switzerland, and France. Other countries were following these countries because they also wanted to become a nation state. France played a vital role in the development of the idea of nationalism. It was the first clear expression of nationalism came in 1789. The French Revolution had inspired people all over the Europe. It spread the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. In 1789, under the rule of absolute monarch, it was a full-fledged territorial state. People, they had done revolution because they wanted political and constitutional changes. After revolution, they got it, but there was need to preserve these ideas. From the very beginning, the French revolutionaries introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity amongst the French people. The idea of la patrie, the fatherland, and the le citoyen, the citizen, emphasized the notion of a united community enjoying equal rights under a constitution. A new flag was designed. The Estates General was elected by the body of active citizens and renamed the National Assembly. New hymns were composed, oaths taken, and martyrs commemorated, all in the names of the nation. A centralized administrative system was put in place and it formulated uniform laws for all citizens within its territory. Internal custom duties and dues were abolished, and uniform system of weight and measures was adopted. The French language became common for everyone. So these measures were taken in France to arise the sentiment of nationalism among the people. After the fall of Directory, Napoleon became the Emperor of France. As he became the Emperor of France, he had done many changes. He introduced many changes in France and the territories he won. Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative field he had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. His changes are known as Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleonic Code. In that, he did away all the privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, and secured the right to property. This code was exported to the regions under the French control. In the Dutch Republic, in Switzerland, in Italy, and Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system, and freed peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. Transport and communication systems were improved for the economic benefit. But women lost most of their rights of citizenship. Even voting right was also not given to them. Businessmen and small-scale producers of goods in particular began to realize that uniform laws, standardized weights and measures, and a common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. In this way, his changes were very much beneficial for the French people. But what about the territories he won? However, the areas conquered, the reaction of the local population to France rule were mixed. They were having mixed ideas about his rule regulations. In initial stage, they welcomed him, but very soon their welcome turned to hostility because his rule regulations were becoming a burden over them. So we can say here that as his rule regulations were good for the people, on the other side of the coin, it was a burden on them. Some drawbacks were there in this, we can say, as it increased taxation, censorship, forced conscription into the French armies required to conquer the rest of Europe, all seemed to overweigh the advantages of the administrative changes. How did the idea of nationalism and nation state emerged in Europe? As in previous class we have seen that in the revolution there was a great role of the middle class people because they were the intellectual people and they were thinking deeply about the society. They wanted to bring the changes in the society, so their role was very much prominent. Here we will see the social composition. In that we will discuss about aristocracy and the middle class people. Aristocracy was a landed and dominant class in Europe. The members of this class were united by a common way of life that cut across regional divisions. They owned estates in the countryside and also town houses. They spoke French language, but they were few in numbers. The major part was the peasantry. They were more in numbers. They were tenants and small owners, and some were serfs. Serfs were working on the others' farm because they were landless farmers. After the revolution in industrialization in England, a new class emerged that was called middle class, which was made up of industrialists, businessmen, professionals. In Central and Eastern Europe, these groups were smaller in numbers. Till late 19th century, it was among the educated liberal middle class that idea of national unity following the abolition of aristocracy privileges gained popularity. The middle class didn't want to accept the things same as. They wanted to bring the changes. They wanted liberty and equality for them. But what kind of liberty they wanted? That we will discuss. What did liberal nationalism stand for? Here the question is, what was the liberal nationalism? The term liberalism derives from the Latin root liber, meaning free. For the new middle class, liberalism stood for freedom for the individual and equality of all before the law. Politically, it emphasized the concept of government by consent. Since the French Revolution, liberalism had stood for the end of autocracy and clerical privileges, a constitution and representative government through parliament. Yet, equality before the law did not necessarily stand for universal suffrage. People under the political liberalism, they wanted equal political right for everyone. But in French Revolution, which marked the first political experiment in liberal democracy, the right to vote was not given to everyone. It was only given to property holder male in France. Only a brief period under the Jacobins did all adult males enjoy suffrage. However, the Napoleonic Code went back to limited suffrage and reduced women to the status of a minor subject to the authority of fathers and husbands. So the people, those they not got the voting right, they were struggling to get the voting right. For that, they were doing the suffrage movement. Now, people also they wanted the economic liberalism. In the economic sphere, liberalism stood for the freedom of markets and the abolition of state imposed restrictions on the movement of goods and capital. During the 19th century, this was a strong demand of the emerging middle class. Let us take example of the German-speaking regions. In the first half of the 19th century, Napoleon's administrative measures had created out of countless small principalities a confederation of 39 states. Each of these possessed its own currency and weights and measures. Now, different territories were ruled by different kings. They were having their own currency, own measurement system, own weight system, own legal system. So it was a problem for the common people to survive uh, under the situation. They wanted that all the things should be equal and uniform for everyone. The major problem in the economic sphere was faced by the traders, merchants, as their products were differently measured in different places. Currency problems were also there. To get rid of this, people they wanted to make some union. Because such conditions were viewed as an obstacle to economic exchange and growth by the new commercial classes. In 1834, a custom union or Zollverein was formed at the initiative of Prussia and joined by most of the German states. The union abolished tariff barriers and reduced the number of currencies from over 30 to 2. In Germany, it encouraged free trade among German states and imposed high tariff on the non-German people. It benefited German workers and manufacturers. So it was very much beneficial for the merchants and traders. So this is today's video. Coming soon with the next part of the video. Thank you.